we, as again, people engaged in ministry, we hear from our people all kinds of excuses. Right? And this is a tough question, I know, to pick one over the others, but of the myriad of things, and you know, we all know what they are. I need sleep in, I need a day, I need my day, I can't, you know, in terms of worship, technology, work, demands of work, or kid-related activities. The kids got soccer, the kids got football practice. What is, if you had to pick one, I know to elevate ones to minimize the others, but if you had to pick one that you think you heard most often, what would that one be? Or two?
I think I'll, again, try and answer the question more personally, and tell you what I struggle with. Because I don't think it's necessarily so different from people that I engage with in pulpit or classroom contexts. And I'll be very specific. I was here to speak a couple of weeks ago about Rosh Hashanah, and it was a great honor, and I brought with me my son, who's 9 years old, and we came for the 9 a.m. worship service and then stayed for the 11 a.m. worship service. But at 6:45, he was on the ice with his hockey team. And it may sound silly, but this activity brings him what we describe in Hebrew as ta'anug, great delight or joy. It really is a place in which he shines. And as a parent, I want to honor that and support that. But it gets in the way of other things, including my own restorative Sabbath experiences, whether it's on Saturday or taking a rabbinic or ministerial Sabbath the next day. So, you know, I'm trying to think about the complexities of parenting, my own needs, of honoring the tradition. I think for me, personally, and this goes back to my opening statement about achievement, I sometimes get caught in the loop of perfectionism, frankly, where if I don't do it exactly as I imagined it, then it begins to fall apart. And to come back from the brink of that and to say, how do I do this even piecemeal? It may not be ideal, but we're not living fully, right, in the time of Kairos. So, how do I maintain some practices that root me? And how do I communicate to them, you know, to my children too, that there are priorities? But again, over the course of my life, I found that when I so live into a vision of perfection, doing it all or nothing, then I tend to fall away, and the practices themselves become oppressive, which is exactly the opposite of the message of Shabbat. It's not an excuse for lack of rigor, but it is, I would say, open-heartedly and transparently a struggle.
So I think I'll say one that's a Sabbath question and one that I think is a sort of worship question. On the Sabbath side, I do think there are more and more things that have, you know, that we can do 24/7, and there's an expectation to do everything 24/7. And I think that is a big challenge for me, for I think congregants, right? You know, sometimes I say, like, should I be able to call my bank at 2 o'clock in the morning? Like, what do I need to talk to them about at the bank at 2 o'clock in the morning? That I hate that State Farm commercial where they're like, you call him at 3 in the morning. He should be home. You should not be able to call him at 3 o'clock in the morning. You should not be happening at 3 o'clock in the morning about your car. Like, it's just not that deep. So I've even tried to, you know, for myself to be like, don't call these people at hours that you don't think you should be, like, you know, calling available. So that's one thing, is a 24/7 cycle. But I think the second challenge that I find a lot for, I think there's a tension between what I see for millennial I find that younger folks are asking for actually a level of worship that demands more, while other generations are asking for something that is less, and that is a real tension. And the millennials won't come at all if they feel that it's not substantive enough. So that's a real, like they want high engagement. There are challenges for millennials, but what I will say is, I feel like they're ready for high engagement, go deep. And so there are some generational divides about what people want in worship and in community that are making it really challenging. And I think that is a tension that a lot of faith communities are going to have to deal with. And I think that's because millennials feel like the promises that were made to their faith, like I think they are more questioning of the American dream and whether or not it's viable and what we need to do and whether or not we can do it without really serious community, which I think is great. I think that's the right question to be asking. It does put it in tension with some other folks who are like, we just want an hour and a half, we don't have to come back, so that there's like, I think it's a promising thing potentially going forward, but it's a challenging thing